So some people listen and go, okay, we got a subcommittee. We got, it's going to take a while, understandably. But, you look at the example in Argentina, Milei, there, the president, has cut 10% of the workforce. He has shuttered 13 government agencies. He's doing things that nobody thought was possible, that economists up and down said, you can't do that. You can't do that. And he's doing it. Musk wants to take government agencies from 428 to 99. Can it be done?
We certainly hope so. We want to be willing partners in that. And we have a new...
Stop the tape! Just pause it. Can this be done? We certainly hope to. Don't say we certainly hope so. Yes! You are the Congress. All bills originate in your house. No money gets spent without your conceivably, gets spent without your authorization. Can it be done? Yes. Bob the Builder. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Trump the Builder. Somebody should make that graphic. Can we do it? Yes, we can, and we will. Roll the tape.
Ability to do this now. Remember, the Supreme Court overturned the Chevron doctrine, right? That's a game-changing kind of situation. Not in my lifetime, but we had the opportunity to go in and really take back control from the administrative state. For a long time, they've been acting as judge, jury, and executioner on the rules that they make on industries and small business owners and the rest. So we have the ingredients, we have the conditions.
Stop the tape. Pull their funding. They'll stop making rules when you stop writing checks. Better charge play. Can you do that? You can. Yes, you can do that. You're supposed to do. No, you can. You're supposed to do that. Stop appropriating the money. Stop writing the checks. They'll stop running things because they'll just go home. They'll go find something else to do and someone else to steal from. Roll the tape.
Now to actually be able to make really dramatic change. And we're going to go through and have those discussions, those brainstorms to see. But you're going to have willing partners in the House and Senate among the Republican
But you're also going to have
congresses.
so many people who are pushing back.
Oh, of course.
My donors, my, the lobbyists that I promised things to, they're not going to go for that. And I won't get reelected if I let you cross that off on our list. So what are you going to do about that?
Well, you're going to have a president that's bold enough to do it. We have our own version of the Argentinian leader, right, with Donald Trump. And I've used the blowtorch analogy rather than a chainsaw, but it's all the same. We do have to scale back the size and scope of government. It serves the people. It unleashes the free market again. Our policy changes will be a part of that, but I think that if we can make some dramatic changes in downsizing the scale and scope of these things, we'll go a long way. And
so two specific examples, Planned Parenthood and PBS, are in congressional control. Are you planning to axe both of those?
I would like to, that's for sure.
Spending for both of those?
Yeah, we got to build consensus to have the votes to do that. Now, some of this will be done by executive order out of the White House.
Absolutely.
He has a broad authority to do a lot of that.
Yes.
But where Congress is involved, that's where it takes the hard work of legislating and getting everybody on the same page. So there'll be lots of ideas that come out. We don't want to put too many of it out right now, okay? But this is part of that, preparing the playbook to unleash and unroll in January.
Blah, 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 blah. Almost felt like I was listening to Charlie Brown's teacher for just a moment there. I'm going to go along and I'm going to play the game just for a little while because I actually hope that some of this happens. None of what he said has to happen. Let me just go back to cases here. Now, this is an extreme scenario, ladies and gentlemen, and no one's going to say, yeah, that's what we ought to do, Mike Chance. You could. You absolutely could. By the way, you know what happened yesterday? The government of France, les démissions, les parlements de français et démission. So they closed it. Macron was basically told, get out. By a vote of 3, they only needed 265. They had 331 members of the French parliament basically voted down in a vote of no confidence Macron and his budget deficit plan or whatever it was. Let me tell you what I think is ultimately going to happen here. And I think that people should pray for this. You should pray for the restoration of the papal states. You should pray for the restoration of old Christendom. And you should pray for it's one of two things. The democracies are all crashing. The English democracy, those people are the people that live outside of London and have brains You thought that Brexit was a revolt? They're probably out there about to revolt over what the House of Commons has done just in the last year under Keir Starmer. You know, Frank Wright has been talking. I need to get Frank on because Frank and I completely agree on this. These democratic institutions are basically democrating themselves out of existence because they're becoming a laughing stock. They're becoming ridiculous. They're a caricature of a government. No monarch could get away with what elected governments or democracies are getting away with. People need to be told this. If they're told this, they're going to go, really? Is that legal? Yes, it's legal. The democracies of Europe, there's 3 outcomes here. I predict right here, 5 December 2024, Mike Church Show, 7:18 a.m. Central Standard Time, Walter Crankcase here reporting. 3 outcomes. 1, they all become Sharia law Muslim. And they're all allies of Turkey at that point. And then the Ottoman Empire is basically old Europe. Now, this is going to put the Ottoman Empire at war with the Christians in Russia, ironically. Might be the best outcome. I don't know. It is a possibility. Germany is going to fall. Sweden is going to fall. France is going to fall. The UK is going to fall. Spain, maybe not. Italy, maybe not. The rest of the center part of Germany, of old Europe, that has been forcibly emigrating tens of millions of military fighting age young Muslim men, and then families that came behind them. The one possibility is that the Muslims take over. They've been practicing taqiyya for 3 decades now, and they finally show their hands and they take over. In some of those countries, it is a real possibility. That's 1. 2, the Muslims don't take over, but the democracies that run those countries are brought to an end. And there is then a state of anarchy. Now, will the Muslims win a war against the faggot homos in France? And in Sweden? And in London? Probably. That's the second outcome. And then that will ultimately lead to, if the battles are lost, to outcome number 1. Third outcome, and I think that this is the one that you should pray for. There are enough good people left. There's enough residual grace in Christendom. Heaven knows the buildings are still there. They're about to reopen Notre Dame de Paris this weekend here. Pray that as the democratic institutions fail, that whatever remains of the House of Bourbon in England and whatever the prior to the, let's see, Henry VIII was a Tudor. So prior to the Tudor kings, whatever remains of an English monarchy, or maybe there's a new one, whatever remains of a Spanish or a Belgian, and there's still there's the Princess of Sweden because she's like a saint, right? She does all kind of charitable work here. The monarchies and the houses, the royal houses, begin to rise. They're only going to rise, though, under the cross. The Ottomans and the Muslims they've always wanted Europe. They've always wanted for 1,200 years. They marauded. Perhaps you've heard the Battle of Vienna, the Battle of Lepanto, the takeover of parts of Spain, which lasted for almost 1,100 years. They've always wanted it. And the Ottoman Empire is back. Turkey is as strong as it's ever been. The Muslim presence in Europe, folks, this is a powder keg. I don't think people in Europe and in the United States and the rest of the free world are looking at this correctly here. I don't know what a Muslim country does with a nuclear arsenal. Do you? I do know that they think if we're not one of them, that they think that we're infidels or we're dogs. I do know that. Could you launch a nuclear missile at a country that's filled with infidel dogs that refused to convert to Islam? You tell me. I'm just giving you the prospective outcomes here. Christianity on the wane, Islam on the rise is not a good thing. And you people out there that think that that's a good thing, just is how the freedom of religion works. Well, you know what? The freedom of religion is grossly misunderstood. Error doesn't have a right in the public square. So these are the outcomes that I think are possible or probable in the United Kingdom. I don't see any other way out of this. They've done it to themselves. Now, again, if there is to be a rebound in Europe, it will come under the cross. Be an entire new generation of saints, just like there was in the 11th century and again in the 13th century, of very pious and holy men and a holy father or two or six that will lead. But it's under the cross. That is the only way out. There is no secular way. You can't govern, vote, democratize your way out of this. The same thing is true here in the United States, just on a smaller scale. We have not yet been overrun with and taken over by Muslims in certain areas like in Minnesota and other areas. That is true. It has happened. Unfortunately, that may just be the way it is. I don't know. We keep hearing this argument here from the leftards out there. You can't use the American military against immigrants. Yes, you can. Article 1, Section 8 again. Everybody get back to knowing the Constitution. A power of Congress, quote, to provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union. Joyless Reed and Rick Mad Cow and all the other wackos on MSN, he can't use the military to do this, he's going to do this and that. Actually, he can. It says it right here in Article 1, Section 8. To provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, if you have a state that remains in the Union and that key remains in the Union and says we're not going to let the laws of the Union be executed, sanctuary states, he absolutely can call the militia, National Guard out, and make it happen. You don't want that to happen, can they? Yes. To execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, could happen, New York, California. And then here's the key one, and repel invasions. We have been invaded by cartels. President Trump, Tom Homan, said this. He said it like 10 times now, repeating or something that I've said. Homan and I agree. They probably came up with it first. I'm not looking for credit here, just that your host was on the right path when I said, take the cartels, get Congress to declare them, or Trump could do this, but I think the Congress should do it. Get Congress to declare them as alien enemies, and as enemy combatants, just like they're Al-Qaeda or ISIL or ISIS, just like it was done in 2001, 2002, 2003, and again in 2012, 2013. And then you have the military powers to get to repel that invasion. Now, you hope that it doesn't come to that, but if it does, yes, Trump can do that.